Scales. What are scales? Well, basically they are a ratio of lengths. There's a number of different places that we can use scales. For instance, we can look at a diagram of particular shapes and see that the shapes are in scale with each other. They have a ratio. Used in architecture, for instance, or where you're making a model and you want it in proportion with the other one. But the most common example by here you can see is a scale, which shows us how a length on a piece of paper or a diagram actually represents a length in the real life, from the actual landscape that the map is drawn. So if we're saying that the map is to scale, everything is in proportion to what it would be in real life in comparison to on the paper. And in this, it's telling us that the scale is 1 inch to 4 miles. So for instance, what would from this I can work out what the actual length would be if I measure on with a ruler on the piece of paper. And quite often what they'll do in an exam is ask you to measure on the diagram. You have to measure with the ruler and then work out the scale from it. So say for instance I'm given on the paper 2 points which are 5 inches apart. Well, it's telling me that 1 inch is 4 miles, so all I've got to do is multiply that 5 inches by 4. 5 times 4 is 20, so my answer, that distance would be 20 miles in real life. But what happens if the scale isn't saying a nice 1 to 4? What happens if it's saying that the 3 inches is 4 miles? Or even you could be told that a distance is 6 miles, work out how many inches it is. So when it's a ratio where it's not 1 to something, either way, what we've got to do first is say, right, 3 inches is 4 miles. So because I want to convert the inches, I'm going to work out what 1 inch is. So I divide both sides by 3, because if 3 inches represents 4 miles, then a third of that, if I chop that into 3, it represents the 4 miles chopped into 3. Similarly, I can do it the other way around. So if I had divided by 4 on both sides, that would tell me that 3 divided by 4, 3 chopped into 4 parts, is worth 1 mile, because the 4 miles would be chopped into 4 parts. 1. So we can do it either way around. In this case, because at the start I said 5 inches, we now know that 1 inch is equal to 1 1/3 miles. And because we know that it's we've got it to that simple 1 inch unit, all we've then got to do to work out how much 5 inches was is multiply it by 5. And there you go, we've now got 5 inches is 6 2/3 miles. So like I said, what happens if we're told then that we have to work out what 10 miles is? Perhaps you've been told that a road that's going from by here, Leberg, directly north is 10 miles long, and you need to draw it on the map. We need a length. So what we're going to do is say, right, 1 inch is 4 miles on this map, as the scale is showing me. So if I divide both sides by 4, like I mentioned before, that tells me a quarter of an inch is 1 mile, because 1 divided by 4 is a quarter. And now I've got a nice scale that I can multiply up to get the value that I need. So in this case it was 10 miles. I multiply both sides by 10, and lo and behold, I've now got that 2.5 inches is 10 miles. So that's how to multiply, going from the smaller measurement to the actual measurement, from the actual measurement to the smaller measurement, or when it doesn't give us a simple ratio of 1 to something, when it gives us a ratio of 2 to something, or 3 to something, or so on.